I want to say a massive thank you for your support. Last year you were at Battersea, during the year you helped, and you've come all this way down to the Donkey Sanctuary. What's your impression been of the Donkey Sanctuary?
Oh, it's been amazing. Like, it's been, like, firstly, you don't have to thank me for being here because it's a pleasure, right? So that's the first thing. I love being involved in what you're doing, so it's an absolute pleasure to be involved. And the Donkey Sanctuary is, like, amazing. Like, I know this can sound really weird, but there's more donkeys than I thought there was going to be. Like,
there's a lot.
That sounds a bit weird, doesn't
it?
Different
sizes, different shapes.
Yeah, but no, it's awesome. And I've been out and about and meeting people and stuff, and it's a lovely day, and it's nice to see people here supporting the sanctuary, so it's cool.
We're lucky that the weather's been really good and there's a lot of people out there as well. And you've been out and you've been meeting people.
I have indeed. It's been really lovely. I've drawn too many pictures though already.
Sorry, well, I'm going to ask for 2 more now. So I'm just going to give a background. If you don't already know about Hercule, please follow his Facebook page. And if you're like me and sometimes you're like having a moment during the day and you just need to be cheered up, this is where to go, and you will find something, I can promise you, that will make you smile. So tell us a bit about your work and what Hercule Van Wolfwinkle represents.
So I draw rubbish pet portraits.
Perfect.
Like, I know a lot of people know that, but I draw rubbish pet portraits, and I get told off for calling them rubbish now because people like to call them silly and funny and all the rest of it. But basically I draw silly portraits of people's pets, and I do it to raise money for charity. So all of my portraits are free, and they always have been, except for on very rare occasions we might auction something off for a charity. But in the main, the portraits are free, and if you get one, then you cheer yourself up by making a donation to one of the charities, which are the kind of main charities are StreetVet and Turning Tides, who are my local homelessness charity. So
I was going to ask, can you tell us a bit more about the 2 charities that you support? So it's when I first started fundraising, I was fundraising for Turning Tides, and they're my local homelessness charity, and they are very local. They're West Sussex based. Most of their services are in and around like Worthing, Littlehampton, Horsham. Right. And they provide complete services from kind of outreach and emergency care to drop-in centres, to rehabilitation, to hostels, to moving on homes. So the idea is that hopefully people that come into contact with Turning Tides can be supported through the whole process, from rough sleeping support through to getting off the streets and into accommodation and all the way through. And so I started fundraising for them when I first started this project, and then it was probably about like 8 months into that first year, and I got contacted by Jade from StreetVet. And anyone who's met Jade or knows Jade knows that, like, she's a force of nature, right? And I mean this in like the nicest of ways if you're watching Jade, but you can't ever say no to Jade, can you? Like, you can't say no to her. No. So Jade contacted me and wanted me to do some stuff for StreetVet, and so I became aware of StreetVet and what they do, and it was just like the perfect fit. Like it couldn't have been more perfect, because here I am, like, raising money and awareness for homelessness by drawing people's pets, and then suddenly, kind of out of the sky, drop this charity who are supporting the pets of homeless men and women, and it was just like this. It was just the most perfect fit. So Jade got in touch, and I did. It started off, actually, the first fundraiser I did for StreetVet was just a one-off fundraiser, and then when we hit £100,000 raised for Turning Tides, it was all around about the same time. It was about a week before the anniversary of the project starting. Right. So there'd been loads of noise about, the project's a year old, we've raised 100 grand, and there was lots of like kind of noise and attention, and I just wanted people to realise or to be aware that I wasn't stopping, it wasn't slowing down, we were going to carry on and go bigger. So then from the second year onwards, we've introduced StreetVet as like I say official charity. That makes this whole thing sound way more official than it is. And so since the start of year 2, people now have the opportunity to donate to either Turning Tides or StreetVet. And I think that the connection between the 2 charities is just a really, really lovely It's aligned,
fit.
isn't it?
It's beautiful.
It's aligned.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. And just a massive thank you and congratulations, because you've earned over £346,000. Did you ever think
No,
have
like
that
it's
sort
mad.
of...
And like genuinely, if I'd have known what was going to happen with all of this, I don't think I would have started. Like genuinely. But now you're in it, you can't stop, right? You know, but it's overwhelming, and I'll never get my head around it. And like, you know, we've just recently done another big fundraiser. I did a 24 hours till sleep. It was like an exhibition, but a fundraiser as well. And I drew portraits continuously for 24 hours.
How many did you do in 24 hours?
85.
Right.
So slightly less than I thought, but because loads of people came down to see me, that kind of slowed it down a bit. But I was glad of that, right? Because
you needed a break.
Yeah, it's nice to see people. But we raised like 15 and a bit grand in 24 hours. And I said at the end of that, and again, you know, it's genuine. Like every time I start a new thing or we have a big fundraiser, I have this like sort of slight fear, because I think, is this the point in which we've exhausted everyone's generosity? Like, you know, we've already raised 330 grand. Like, we can't raise another 15. And then we do, and then suddenly that number jumps to 345 grand.
The people that get it, and they understand what you're doing and the reasons for it. And there's so much goodwill out there for what you do, because you do it with a smile on your face. And if you haven't already seen, he has 2 books on the market, and you are a Sunday Times bestseller.
I am, yeah. It was a quiet week, I think, that week. COVID, lockdown, you know, no one was going out.
And tell us, have you got any more plans for more books coming out?
I have, but I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it yet. So
That's
I'm
fair
not
enough.
allowed
Also,
to
there's
tell
one
everybody
to
that there's a
come at
third
some
book
point.
coming out soon.
Good.
Probably next year, but I don't think I'm allowed to tell anyone that.
And you haven't got the name for it yet. Okay. So I just want to say as well that if you don't already know, there was a little competition running and there were hundreds of entries, and the photos are just comical and joyful to go through. But we have a winner, and Jackie Smith, if you're on, I hope you are on and you can see this. This is the winner, if you can see it, which is Murray, who is basically looking like a werewolf. And we're going to draw this picture. I'm not going to draw this picture. Phil's going to draw. Hercule. No. Hercule's going to draw this, and then we'll talk and we'll get this sent to you because it's a very special prize. I'm sorry that we couldn't do like 300. But one is what we're going to do. And then what we're going to do is another equally beautiful animal at this donkey sanctuary is Drizzle. So on the Facebook page earlier, I put Drizzle's picture up, and he's going to talk us through how to draw Drizzle. And I've already seen some really lovely pictures. People have already, I'm not going to say tried to draw Drizzle, they have drawn Drizzle and very well, but we're going to get this artist's impression of Drizzle. Carla, any questions coming through yet? Nothing yet, but we will get some. So you didn't study GCSE art. You're welcome to start drawing and talk to me while...
Am I going to break the two? I'm going to break the one pet portrait rule. And
oh, I didn't realise there was a one pet portrait.
I'm going to draw both of them. Should we do that?
If you can.
Yeah, no,
of
course I can.
They could be adjoined, couldn't they?
Yeah, maybe if I draw 2 dogs badly,
brilliant.
The result is one dog drawn well, right?
We'll try. I only know the name of Murray the werewolf. I don't know the name of the other beauty.
Okay.
But so tell us what you're doing whilst you're drawing this, and then we can, for the next one when we do Drizzle, we can use your expert knowledge. And how do you start a picture?
I always start with the nose.
Right.
And there is a reason for that, because it's like a little confidence boost. Because if you can't get that little black blob on the page like that right, then just give up, yeah? Right?
Okay.
But you have, because look at it.
Well done.
It's a nose. So I've given myself a little bit of confidence now, and now I can start the rest of the portrait. I'm off to a good start. So, and then I normally do the face. So, and it's just kind of like, you know, glance at the reference photo briefly to get a bit of an idea, and then just like follow the lines around basically.
So we spoke yesterday, and I asked how you so quickly can find something in a picture that you can latch onto as sort of the main focal point of the picture.
Yeah.
And how is that just a natural talent that you can look at Murray or any other animal and say, I know exactly what I'm doing this immediately?
So firstly, can I thank you for calling it a talent, because not many people do. So that's the first thing.
Do you know what? Actually, again, because most of my portraits are chosen, it's like a random lottery. I don't get a choice as to what I'm like choosing.
Right.
And then, but like in an ideal world, it's always nice if there's like some sort of like standout characteristic. So if it's got like long legs,
Right.
or if it's got a bit of a grin or whatever. But I tend to just start drawing, and then like hopefully it just sort of like kind of comes to life. And sometimes like it just sort of finds things that you don't see yourself until you start like drawing it. But I like doing the long legs, like that's what I like doing. And ideally, because I'm colourblind, ideally not something where there's kind of too many colours going on, because I struggle.
What colours can you see?
I can see all the colours just badly.
Okay.
So it's red and greens basically. So I'm red-green colourblind. So shades of red and green are like a no-go for me. But it kind of like it comes out weirdly in other ways. So you know, like I was saying to somebody earlier, and I can't. Are they called tabby cats? Is that like a fairly standard cat?
Yes.
And they're all like.
I'm not saying common, but I'm saying it is a regular cat. Yeah.
And they're all like kind of like browns and greys and stuff. So I see them as green.
Wow. Okay.
Like sort of shades of green. So if I was literally trying to choose a colour to draw them as I see them, they would be green.
Okay.
And that's kind of strange because they are obviously browns and greys, but because of my colour blindness, it kind of comes out looking like green. So it kind of, it's sort of, if there's lots of colours going on or awkward colours, then I struggle a little bit with that. And I often get into arguments with my other half, Ashley, or sometimes other people that are there, because they're telling me it's a certain colour and I'm adamant that it's not. And then I have to remind myself that I'm the one that's colourblind. So you have to put your faith in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got some, a little bit brown, we got a little bit of black and grey on this picture from Jackie.
So we've got the outline of the first dog done.
Yeah.
Was this the dog we were supposed to be drawing, or is this the dog?
No, it's this beauty here.
Okay.
They're equally as gorgeous.
They're lovely looking dogs, aren't they?
This one's looking at this one with a side eye. I wonder what he's thinking. Okay. So you didn't do GCSE art. Did you have any interest in drawing as a kid?
So, like, I want to say no, because I don't really remember ever having much of an interest in it. But I must have done, because all kids do, right? And so I reckon, and I can't pinpoint the moment on it, but I reckon that there must have just been a point in my life, which I think happens to a lot of people, where they just think, I can't do that, I'm not good enough, I'm going to stop, right? Because when we're kids, everybody draws, everyone loves doing it, everyone loves getting lost in their imagination.
But unless you're good at it at school, you get
and then I think you get that to that point. And I don't really remember getting to that point, but I think I must have done, because I didn't do art at GCSE, like I did the basic art classes. I seem to remember I had to do, one assignment was I had to draw the view from my bedroom window. So I just drew a brick wall. And
how did the art teacher take that one?
Well, let's put it this way: I didn't do art GCSE, and so I didn't do art at GCSE, and I haven't had any interest in art. It was never like a hobby or anything until all of this blew up. And so when it did all blow up, all of my mates and like family and everything were kind of like, "Where's this all come from?" And like the reason that I still draw my portraits on, like it is the most rubbish, cheapest paper, is because I was stealing photocopier paper from work because I had no like supply.
Are you still employed by them?
No. And I was using my son Sam's W.H. Smith pencils, so I still use W.H. Smith pencils.
Did you have you got a sort of a sponsorship from them yet?
No. No, so if they're watching, no.
Maybe.
Yeah, so no, had no interest in art whatsoever, and then one day kind of all of that changed. And what I've quite liked actually recently is sort of exploring. I had this moment like last year, but it was about last year, where I realised that like suddenly I've found myself drawing all these things, but I've spent 3.5 years drawing 1,600 pet portraits, but nothing else.
Yeah.
So I started, like last year, I started drawing other things as well as the pet portraits, but I don't share them on social media because obviously I want to keep the social media all about the pet portraits and the fundraising and everything else. But I am starting to explore this sort of like, this love of art that I've found, basically.
Do you appreciate art? If you see art now, do you think, oh yeah, I get that? Or not really?
No.
No.
So I get a lot. So people talk to me about art and they mention names, and I have to just either nod like I know what they're talking about, or just come clean and go, I've no idea. So no, I haven't really kind of. I mean, I know what I like, because everyone does, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't really kind of like really branched out into trying to sort of like discover anything. We've got an outline done now.
It's beautiful, beautiful. And have you got any other creative talents? Singing, dancing, writing, music? Because if you're good at this, I'm sure there's another hidden talent somewhere that we can...
Well, anyone who came to see me sing Meatloaf, I Would Do Anything for Love at karaoke will know that I don't have any singing talents. I love writing, and actually, you know, that's why I love doing all the write-ups. So all of my pet portraits are accompanied by they all get like a little bio, like what the pet likes doing.
You've got to think of names here too.
I can't do that off the cuff, it takes time. I have to like stare off into the middle distance like something awful's happened for a while before it comes.
Okay.
But yeah, I love writing, and I do enjoy writing, but other than that, it has mainly been the drawing. And I don't want to unleash anything else, to be honest, because that scares the hell out of me.
So you haven't done caricatures of humans?
I've drawn, so I drew the Queen.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
I drew the Queen, and I drew Charles and Camilla.
You got a letter, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a letter from the Queen saying, don't ever draw me again, no. Yeah, I got a letter from the Queen, which was nice. And you know what? What was really nice is that I say she, I mean,
her person.
Yeah, like it wouldn't have been her, I'm sure. Like, but whoever got my picture and that had obviously done a little bit of research, because in the letter that they responded, they made reference to like the charity fundraising and stuff, which I didn't mention in my letter, which I thought was really lovely.
Yeah, that's quality, yeah.
So yeah, I did the Queen when it was heard. I think it was the Jubilee. It was the Jubilee, because in the letter I wrote to her, I said that I hope she had a lovely, lovely jubbly. and then I drew Charles and Camilla, and I sent that to Charles and wished him luck in the new job, and said how it was bad being the new boy at work, but I hoped everyone was being kind to him.
I'd love you to meet him. I'd love it if you could meet him.
And he wrote back as well.
He did?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
was it people?
Well, again, people. And so that was quite nice. So I drew them, and I drew, so one of my followers, a guy called Neil, I drew Neil once because I drew his dog, and Neil was sat next to his dog, and Neil had just the most magnificent beard I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And so I kind of felt quite comfortable tackling drawing Neil, because he was 80% hair, and like I'm used to drawing like fur and that. So I was like, no, I'm quite confident at tackling Neil. So I drew Neil as well. So he's one of the few people that I've drawn. And then this has never actually been shared, and no one's ever seen the pictures. But for a friend's birthday, I drew Pat Butcher and Frank Butcher for him, and gave.
You should do court drawings, you know, when they do the lovely drawings of the criminals and such like, or presumed innocent, you know, guilty, you know. But yeah, you do a great job in there as well. So, strangest animal you've ever drawn? I know on the website you have the basics.
So, strangest animal, I think in the context of it being someone's pet, which it was a skunk.
Right.
So someone had a pet skunk, which I drew, and I can't remember exactly, I think the review was something like, it stinks or something. And I was like, I know it does, but how about the portrait? And so yeah, like a skunk was quite unusual. For like, I mean, it's not an unusual animal,
So
is
that
it?
was
But for a
international,
pet,
was it? Because we don't generally have skunks in this
they
country.
were in America. Yeah, they were.
So you've gone global.
Oh yeah, like when I do my Facebook lives, it's again, talking about being humbled by the amount that we've raised, being humbled by the amount of people that follow what I do and the reach of all of that is, I can't actually think about it, because if you do, it will put you off, like putting this nonsense out to people if you actually thought about how many people were going to see it, it would put you off doing it. So yeah, it's totally global. And when I did the 24-hour till sleep thing, I think the Facebook Live that I did that had the most people on it was the one that was at 3:00 in the morning our time.
Okay.
And it was because of the amount of people that were in like Canada and Australia and America and stuff that were all like checking in and stuff, which was lovely because I was really hanging at that point. So it was nice to have people like wishing me luck. Yeah.
Amazing. So you've just done that, and I'm not suggesting you do another one straight away, but what's the next? Have you got plans for another activity?
Yeah, it's booked in. So in October, and this is for Turning Tides. So it's not a joint thing, but I do. So again, I do things. I like to try and keep everything equal, like and fair. So I do things. I've done things that have been solely for StreetVet. So I did a fundraiser for StreetVet in London a couple of weeks ago, or about a month or so ago now. But in October, I'm doing the 3 peaks with Turning Tides, which is basically climbing the 3 highest peaks in the UK in 24 hours. And the idea is to draw a portrait at the top of each peak. Right. And people, if they make a donation, can enter into a draw to be one of the portraits that are drawn. It is, like, the huge caveat on that is it's weather dependent. And a bit time dependent as well.
You could always fill it in later and just do the outline.
Whatever happens, they will definitely get their portrait, but the plan is to try to draw a portrait at the top of the 3 highest peaks in the UK, which would be quite cool, right? I think.
Fantastic. So that's October.
That's October.
Amazing. So you'll get closer and closer to sort of 500,000 points. So didn't you have a tattoo done?
I had a tattoo done at 75 grand.
What would you do at 500,000?
I've learned not to.
Trying to get an exclusive here, guys.
I've learned not to answer those questions off the cuff because I get myself into bother.
Well, that's the point. We were hoping you would.
Do you know what? 500,000, I don't know. When I was live on Channel 4, I told Claire Balding that I was gonna, if we got to £1 million, I'd change my name by default
to
Hercule Van Wolfwinkle.
Oh.
And
have you asked Ash about this?
She's dead against it. But if I've for
£1 million, she probably,
for £1 million quid, I think it's worth it. Even if I just did it for how easy is it to do? I don't know. But even if I just did it for a couple of weeks and then changed it back or whatever. But I said I would do that, and then the next morning I saw Claire at breakfast, and she came over and she gave me a hug and she kind of whispered in my ear, "Please don't change it." So it would upset Claire and it would upset Ashley. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm tempted to do that if we get to £1 million to change my name to Hercule Van Wolfwinkle.
Do you know what? It's a possibility. We'll be sat here in 5 years' time and you'll be past that.
And then I'll just book loads of appointments at places. Do you know what I mean? Just so I can hear people reading it out.
Yes. You could be on jury duty.
Yes, imagine.
Yeah,
imagine.
And they'd have to read your name out.
Yeah. But at 500,000, I don't know. Maybe we could throw it out there to suggestions, as to what I could do if we hit 500,000. I don't know, but it won't be another tattoo. I know that much. No.
Well, I'll ask Carla now because have you got any questions coming through?
Yes, some you've answered, but we have one. Is there another artist or type of art you enjoy or admire?
Is there another? I mean, types of art. I don't really know types of art. I'm not really one for knowing those sorts of things. There's a lady called Alison Friend. I don't know if anyone's seen Alison Friend, and I think her Instagram handle is Mook Friendly or something. Nice. And she does these oil paintings, and if you kind of just glance at them, they look quite old, sort of old-fashioned oil paintings. but she draws like dogs and cats and stuff, but they're like sucking on a lollipop or eating a cookie or whatever, and they're really cute. Like they're like, I really like her stuff, because I just like the fact that it's, do you know what, I think anything that makes me smile, I think, like, just makes me laugh. I don't know who the guy's called, but I saw something yesterday on Instagram that absolutely, like, I laughed out loud to myself, and it was, again, like, you looked at it and it looked like a serious, like, oil painting, and it was of this like hippopotamus standing there. I don't know if I should be saying this at 1:30 in the afternoon. People are eating their Sunday lunch, but there's like a raccoon stood on its back, holding like a lit match over its like backside, and it had obviously passed wind, and there's this great big like flame coming out the back of it, and I just saw that, I was just howling. Like, so like any art, like, you know, whether it's like, you know, kind of,
it's what it does, makes you feel,
it's
doesn't
got
it?
to
It's gotta make
evoke
you
emotion,
feel,
right? And I like stuff that makes me laugh, because life's too short not to.
And do you know what? That's a lot of your followers, and including myself and the group here today. It brings a smile to our face. And Peter was saying earlier about donkeys. You don't leave here without a smile on your face, because they somehow bring some joy to you. Yeah. And I'm pleased to say that you do that for a lot of other people as well. And we're very, very grateful that you're out there. So.
That didn't really answer the question, though, did it?
What sort of art do
Really?
you like? No, he likes anything that makes you
Anything
smile.
that makes me smile, but I can't really point at anything in particular. Alison Friend, though, go and check her out, because her stuff is very good. Yeah.
Excellent. I think you should go and do some Banksies. I think you could go around and do like some really quality graffiti around the country. Yeah. No one else is going to be doing this. I mean, well, then they know it's you, but they don't know where you live.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. That's the thing, isn't it? Banksy, no one knows who... And I didn't want anyone to know that this was me when I started, but now people do, and so it's now...
And you tried to keep it secret, didn't you?
I did, and so now
work.
it's a bit harder. I mean, I do quite like the idea of, like, sort of like doing some street art or something. I mean, I like what I really want to do, like the dream is to do like a massive exhibition of like all my stuff.
Okay.
That would be like... You know, I've exhibited stuff, but obviously it's been relatively sort of small scale, like no more than, you know, I don't know. Can you hear my pencil? Sorry, I'm going off to...
I love it, yeah.
So someone said it sounds like a panting dog.
It does,
Listen.
it really does. It does, you can hear... Yeah, it does, yeah.
Sorry, I've got like gone off tangent. So yeah, I'd love to do like a massive exhibition of all of my stuff. Yeah. Like big scale. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, graffiti. I've never actually tried graffiti, so maybe I should give that a go.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Do you have you been to schools and drawn in front of kiddies?
Go into schools. Love going into schools because that's like an awful lot of fun. And actually, do you know what? Coming back to what we were saying earlier about you know, me not being into art and not necessarily knowing why. What I love about going into the schools is that I show examples of my work and talk about what I do and talk about the fact that, you know, for some unknown reason, people like what I do, and when you realise that the kids get it, like that it doesn't have to be perfect and they can let their imagination run wild, and you start sort of like the session with them and they start drawing like their own pets or you know, some drawings that we've taken in, and the ones that are kind of trying to take it really seriously, the ones that kind of probably enjoy it the least, and then the ones that do just let their imaginations run wild, and we end up with, like, you know, cats in space and dogs playing football, and I mean, the one I remember, I don't know why it sticks in my mind, but it was businessman dog, and this lad had drawn his dog, but it was in like a shirt and tie and had a briefcase, and it's just brilliant, and you know, the fact that they kind of realise that it doesn't have to be, in inverted commas, perfect, but people can still like
enjoy
it and enjoy it. And the main thing is, for me, this is what I always say to them, is just have fun with it, right? Because then even if no one else likes it, if you've had fun doing it, then it was worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm drawing this the right colour.
It's coming along lovely.
Yeah, okay. I need to probably speed up a bit, don't I?
No, you're good. We're good. One more.
What is the strangest species you've drawn?
The strangest species, well,
Is it skunk?
yeah, like I say, in the context of it being a pet, I think a skunk was probably like the weirdest like pet that I've drawn. In terms of like the kind of like strangest, just like the kind of most unusual species, I did a chameleon once. They're quite unusual, aren't they?
What colour was it?
Oh, all the colours. It was all the colours. So I did a chameleon once. That was quite unusual. I did some llamas once. They were quite fun. Yeah. I mean, they're basically like massive cockapoos, aren't they?
Do you know, I think you should go to a zoo for the day. I think you should go to the zoo and then get some more pictures that can go in this. So anybody out there with a, do you call it a studio, an art studio, where you could exhibit all your work? If there's anybody out there, or anybody knows anybody, that's a potential. Tate Gallery, the Louvre.
Yeah, somewhere massive, because the dream is to display all 1,600 of them. Like, I think it would just be so much fun, you know, like, so yeah, that would...
That's what you're up to, 16, you counted them?
I've lost count a long time ago, but it is about 1,600, yeah, it's about 1,600 portraits, yeah.
And how many years have you been doing it?
It'll be 4 next month. I stopped then because I think about it. So it was August 2020. So we're coming up to the fourth year anniversary, actually. So I might have to think about doing something to celebrate that.
Okay. Anybody out there in the art world, please let us know. Get in touch. We can make this happen.
Yeah, 4th birthday party, exhibiting all of the pictures. That would be good.
Yeah, I think that's... And you've done Christmas cards or any calendars. What else have you done?
There will be Christmas cards and calendars again this year.
Okay.
Actually, the calendar is being designed as we speak. I'm a little bit behind schedule on that. I've had lots going on, say off the pitch, but you know, kind of like outside of work. So it's slowed us down a bit. But the calendar is being designed pretty much as we speak. Christmas cards, I've started kicking around ideas for that. I'm thinking about maybe doing some hand-drawn Christmas cards this year as well, because they're always quite popular. But that will depend on how much time I've got. But yeah, there'll be Christmas cards and calendars again this year. And again, as with all of the other years, they will be, proceeds of that will be donated to StreetVet and to Turning Tides to support the work that the charities do as well. I think that's kind of done, I reckon.
Amazing,
I think I'm sort of like overworking it almost because we're talking.
Now you'll need to think of the names.
I will think of the names.
Yeah.
These will get a proper Facebook post and a proper Facebook write-up and everything else.
Can you show it?
There we go. Am I holding it up? So that's the reference photo. We'll put the reference photo over the front there like that. That's the reference photo, okay? And then there's the portrait there. And then I'm moving the reference photo back in now. So that is the reference photo is back in shot now. And now I've taken it away. I know it doesn't look like it, but I have. And there's the proof that they are separate pictures. So
Cards coming
there
through.
we go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I don't know what they're called, but we'll work that out and they'll get a proper Facebook post and a proper write-up, and we'll work out what type of herring they like and everything else. So yeah.
That's a lovely, thank you so much everybody for entering. Can only do one winner as such, but so the next one we're going to do is Drizzle, who is the donkey at the sanctuary that you've chosen. And people can draw along if they want to. So you've got to explain what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you draw the way you do. And we've had some, like I say, examples already. So Drizzle is a beauty. They do have donkeys for adoption here. So you can go online. I think per year it's about £36, and the donations go towards the upkeep of these amazing animals and this amazing facility. So give us a rundown of Drizzle.
Go. Okay, so the first...
I have a comment to say, struggling to tell the difference, too ultra-realistic for my dodgy eyes.
Well, that's why we have to point these things out, you see. So no Photoshop has been used. Right, so we're going to draw Drizzle. The first thing you need to do is get your landscape paper, okay? Portrait paper is not going to do. So if you haven't got any landscape paper, then you cannot take part. But if you've got some landscape paper, then you can join in with this. You'd laugh. Landscape paper is really hard to come
by.
across.
Well, I've only got portrait. I'm sorry, I can't join in.
I went into my stationery shop. I said, "You've only got portrait. Can I have some landscape?"
What did they say?
He said, "We'll need a couple of days to turn that around." But they did. They did. And then I went back and they charged.
Look, this is another talent.
They charge double for the landscape. I know. So anyway, landscape paper. And then we're going to draw a donkey. So
We're gonna pass this donkey picture over to the sanctuary. So there might be an auction for this particular picture of Drizzle.
in which case then I'm going to use a piece of paper that's not dirty.
Oh,
I think it's got peanut butter on it.
from lunch.
Yeah. So
Super.
I was going to say I've never drawn a donkey before. I think I have drawn one donkey before today, but I've been getting a bit of practice in today. So donkeys are a little bit like horses, right? Horses are notoriously difficult to draw, people think. But actually, if you want an easy tip to draw a horse, you just draw a unicorn and then rub the horn out.
Perfect. That's a great tip.
Okay? Because unicorns are easy to draw, right? Unicorns are easy to draw, horses are hard to draw. Draw a unicorn, rub the horn out, you got a horse. Donkeys are kind of pretty much like that, but we're not going to draw the horn. So we're going to start with the nose, and like donkey's nose is obviously a... You don't, it's like you're drawing the nostril hole rather than the actual nose, aren't you, if you know what I mean? But it's the same rule applies, it's just a little black dot and that gets your portrait off to a good start. And then underneath we're going to draw the mouth coming down like this. And then this donkey's got like a beard, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got a beard.
So I'm going to draw the beard, and then, so with like that, is when you've got like kind of like shaggy fur like that, you just wiggle your pen around a little bit, like that. And it just gives that kind of like texture of the fur, and then it comes up like this, and then he's got like a little sort of bit of shaggy hair going on like that. And then the last thing that we're going to do to finish off the face is to draw the eyes. And anyone that watches my draw alongs before will know this, but when you come to draw the eyes, right, this is really important. This is in the reference photo, we can only see one eye, okay?
You need to draw two.
You have to, because everyone knows that all animals have two eyes, right? And so when they look at your portrait, they're expecting to see two eyes.
Even though you've only got one.
So what you have to do is you have to draw two eyes, because if they don't see two eyes, they think, well, this guy doesn't know his animals. And then they lose a little bit of confidence in you. They lose a little bit of trust. So always draw two eyes. And what you also do is draw them close together, because then when someone finds one eye, they can quickly find the other. And then they go, this guy knows his animals, he knows what he's doing.
It's like you're a vet.
Almost. I've gained an extensive animal knowledge since I'm drawing 1,600 of them. And then this ear kind of comes over like that. And that's got a bit of like kind of like, got ears like my granddad had. All hair coming out.
Oh no, sorry.
And then we got another ear that comes over like that. That was the cutest little sneeze I think I've ever heard. And then I'm going to come down and we're going to do underneath here like this. So they've got quite long necks, donkeys, haven't they? But I think what it is, so with that, this is something that us artists, we call this perspex. And it's when some things maybe look longer or shorter in a reference photo than they actually are. So it looks like this donkey's got quite a long neck. So, but I don't think it probably does in real life. But we have to try to
see him. We can go and find
that. And I'm definitely going to go and find him in a minute. And then I'm going to have to go and find him and apologise. And then we're going to come down and do the first leg like this. And then with the legs, what you want to do with the legs is keep them nice and thin, because that cuts down on your colouring in time.
Oh, tips.
Yeah.
Tips here.
And then keep them nice and long as well, because that gives you thinking time when you're drawing the lines down. If you keep them nice and long, then it gives you thinking time basically. So then we're going to do the other leg coming out like this.
Do you get many people sending you pictures that they've done of their pets? Or not as much?
Not that often. I mean, to be honest, I tend not to go into my inbox unless I'm kind of choosing a portrait to draw. Right. So
because you get inundated.
Because I get so many. There's like over 80,000 requests for portraits in the inbox. So it tends to be when I go into my Facebook inbox, it's kind of like I'm choosing a portrait to draw. So I go in and I choose a portrait and that's it. But people do email me and stuff. But when I do like the draw-alongs and stuff online that people then join in, they obviously post their pictures in the comments and stuff. And I love seeing everyone else's pictures and stuff, because it kind of makes me realise I'm not as bad as I think I am. That was a joke, everyone. So yeah, so they do, but I probably don't always see them, unfortunately.
No, it's a full-time job, but this is,
Yeah.
isn't it now?
Coming across and doing the back like this, like so, and then into the back legs. And sometimes if you want to really cut down on your work and your colouring in and stuff, is just draw 3 legs. Because I think if you've drawn enough legs to just let people know that the animal's got legs,
Don't need a 4.
don't worry always about the 4 or 5. People pick me up on that sometimes. Oh, you've missed a leg out. Well,
So when you drew my 3-legged dog, it wasn't because you realised it was a 3-legged dog. It's just because you didn't want to draw 4 legs.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I did one with, and the dog was standing in water. So I had no idea how deep the water was, because obviously you could only see about that much of the dog's legs. So basically what I did is I did the legs as dotted lines, so that the owner, when they got the portrait, could fill it in as to how long the legs were supposed to be. And again, that's the thing, is you've always got to think about, like, you know, think in the best interests of your customer at all times. So sometimes I've done stuff like that as well, but I'm going to draw 4 legs on Drizzle today because he's special. There we go. So we've got the outline done now there. Like,
We'd love to see your photos,
so.
your pictures later of Drizzle.
My God. I can't tell the difference.
No. Well, you can at the moment because it hasn't been coloured in.
Well,
But wait till we bring it to life
don't know.
with the colouring in. So now we're going to colour it in as well. And we're going to use, it's brown, right?
He's brown-grey, yeah.
Okay.
It's a mixture.
Okay. So we'll do some brown like this as well. And then we're donating this to the Donkey Sanctuary,
Yeah, we are.
is that right?
And
Okay.
if they can auction it off at some point, then hopefully that will help towards
Yeah.
the
Amazing.
fundraising. So has your son picked up, does he draw with you?
No, I mean this in the politest of way on his behalf, but he doesn't really care too much for what I do. But then I kind of think I wasn't ever really that interested in like what my mum and dad were doing, you know. I mean, he loves drawing, and he's a good drawer. He's an excellent writer, but no, he tends not to do a lot of drawing. But again, it's a lot of this has all gone on. Like when he's not around, you know, like when I first started, it was always when he was in bed. It was always like on an evening thing. And, you know, an awful lot of what I do now is like during the day when he's at school and stuff. So it tends to not be kind of going on around him too much. But yeah, we do draw together, but it's not something he's got a massive interest in, if I'm honest.
I think you should go to art schools and show them how to do such things.
Do you think? I don't think they'd let me in. I don't think they'd let me in.
I think they would.
Is this brown the right colour?
It's sort of a grey brown. It's it will do for what.
Yeah. Okay.
You wouldn't have the exact shade of Drizzle, I don't think, but
Okay.
yeah.
That's cool.
So you've got one more event for October, and then you take a break over Christmas.
One more fundraiser for October, and then Christmas kind of becomes basically about, hopefully as long as people place orders, is kind of dealing with the Christmas, you know, kind of rush of getting calendars out and Christmas cards out and stuff like that.
When would they go on sale? Because I know you said that.
I don't know. Probably like end of September, early October, because we are a little bit delayed, but probably around about that sort of time. And then I was wondering about trying to do some sort of, I think we will do some sort of Christmas fundraiser, but I don't think it will be like a big one. It will be like, maybe like we'll run some sort of competition to like win a portrait or something like that, rather than it being me doing something like climbing mountains or whatever.
That's committed, isn't it?
So yeah, I think we will definitely do something at around Christmas, because it's a nice time, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't know what's in store after that. Really, we'll wait and see.
So tell us about some of the famous pets you've drawn, pets of famous people you've drawn.
Famous pets. who have I drawn? I mean, I drew probably the nicest story on that, because we all love him, was Paul O'Grady's dogs.
What were they called? Do you remember?
Oh, do you know what? He had about 6 of them, and I can't remember what they were all called. But so basically, because Paul was an ambassador for StreetVet, as you know, when I started like officially fundraising for StreetVet, I drew Paul's dogs, and he made the very first donation.
Right.
So the very first donation that came in to that fundraiser was from Paul.
Lovely.
And his pet portrait is also in all of the pet portraits that I've drawn. His is the only one where the customer review is real, is genuine, because I make them all up myself, which is the worst kept secret, but it still surprises some people. And he gave the review, which was really nice. And then we said to him, could you send us a picture of you like holding it up, but like look a bit annoyed, you know, like because you've received this rubbish portrait, and it's online, you can go and see it. And in this picture, he's holding up this portrait, and he looks like genuinely annoyed, right, like really annoyed at this picture. And he came back and he said, I genuinely was annoyed because 5 minutes before this picture was taken, I was scraping bin juice off the portrait because he'd accidentally thrown the portrait in the bin.
Oh no.
And what had happened is that when I'd sent him the portrait, I'd sent him like a copy of my book and a couple of other little bits and pieces, and kind of me thinking to keep it protected, I had it wrapped in cardboard at the bottom of this box. And
threw it away.
And he messaged and said, I've received the package, I love it, you know, all so much. I can't wait to see the portrait. And I had to message back and say it was in the same box, and he'd thrown it out. And so, yeah, literally in this picture of him where he's holding up this portrait looking really annoyed, you could now look at that picture if you want to and imagine the fact that he was scraping bin juice off that portrait just minutes earlier.
Massive loss, isn't
so
it?
that's been the nicest of all of the sort of, I don't really like the term celebrity, but you know, of all of those sorts of pictures, because A, it kick-started the StreetVet fundraiser, and B, Paul's just, you know, such a lovely guy, and there's a funny story around it as well. So yeah,
he's missed, isn't he? By everybody at StreetVet as well. Yeah.
And you know, genuinely, like, just a lovely guy. You know, he would send me the occasional message just asking how it was going and stuff, and it was like,
quality,
you know,
man.
he did it because he wanted to. Like, there was no obligation for him to do so, you know. And yeah, he was just a really lovely guy. So yeah, that's my favourite of all the ones. And also, actually, in the very first portrait I drew of all of his dogs, I accidentally missed one off.
Did you?
As well. So again, that's another. I hadn't thought about that before, actually. But nearly all of my pet portraits that I draw are all drawn in one sitting. They're never I never redo them. And the reason that I outline in pen rather than pencil is so I can't rub anything out. So like all the mistakes are embraced and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Paul's one I did had to redo his, actually, because I missed one out. Yeah.
That's it's a nice thing to say. Just carry on if you've made a mistake. Just embrace it, get on with it.
Yeah, like sometimes the mistakes are the best bit, right? And I guess that's sort of true of life sometimes, isn't it? You know. So yeah, I never really start again, and that's kind of just because I'm lazy. Actually, it's not because it's not because I want to embrace my mistakes. It's just once I
we were believing it then. You didn't need to tell us that.
Once I've started, I just want it over and done with, basically.
Carla, any more questions coming through? Oh, everybody's out in the sunshine today, I think.
Enjoying themselves.
Too right.
Yeah. So another thing that I'd like to just mention as well, while I'm doing the whiting, is that I know it's kind of been talked about, but Turning Tides have become an official StreetVet accredited hostel.
Fantastic.
Which is like amazing news, and it was really lovely because obviously having been fundraising for the two charities for all this time, but the charities obviously themselves were operating very separately.
Yeah.
It was really nice to have you know, there is now actually like a proper working link
relationship
between the two.
I'll just explain what that is to people because I don't know everybody knows what it is. So obviously StreetVet harness and promote the human-animal bond, and a lot of their clients are experiencing homelessness. So it's very awkward sometimes in a lot of the hostels that they won't accept pets in for different reasons. So StreetVet put together the StreetVet accredited hostel scheme where they train and accommodate pets into the hostels so that when a homeless person is invited in and accepted in, the animal stays with them, which you can only imagine the difference that makes to somebody, because in our world it's very hard to imagine having to be split up with our animals, isn't it? So it's amazing that Turning Tides are doing that.
Well, I think one of the biggest things as well is that if you're offered a hostel space and you refuse it because the hostel doesn't accept you with your dog, then you're classed as voluntary homeless, and then you're like right at the bottom of the list for any help. And I think the reality is that, you know, every single one of us would probably rather be on the streets with our companion than be in a hostel on our own and then wondering what's happening to them. So it's funny, isn't it, that it's classed as a choice, when actually in reality for a lot of people it's not a choice. It's
not a lifestyle.
It's just what you do.
Yeah.
You know, you don't make a decision not to take your dog or your pet, because it's not always dogs, is it? But your pet.
No, I think there's
into
some
a
cats.
hostel.
I think there was a bearded dragon, I believe, a rabbit or so.
But yeah, so now Turning Tides are also part of the official StreetVet accredited hostel scheme, which is amazing. And so they've got, I mean, actually it's probably changed since I was last up there, but when I was up at Rothie Place last, I think there was about 5 dogs up there, which was really lovely to see. So, and that was like I don't want to say proud moment because it makes it sound like I had something to do with it. So, but it was like the way I described it is, you know, when you've got like 2 different friends, like 2 friends, but from different friendship groups, so they don't know each other, but you kind of know they get on if they just met, you know, like, and then they did meet and they got on, and it was like a really lovely feeling. That's happened quite recently, and that's been just like, well, for me, like a really lovely thing now to have the 2 charities working together.
If you don't know about that, please go to the StreetVet website and learn a bit more about what they do. So StreetVet provide free of charge veterinary services to those experiencing homelessness in the UK. There's about 23 different locations that they work in, but they do deal with out of area pets as well, if they can. And both Phil, I and the team here are exceptionally passionate about that charity. So please go and have a look. Do you want to show people the end result?
So there we go. There is Drizzle. It doesn't really work now, does it? But there we go. So there is Drizzle. That's done. Drizzle. All done. Yeah, that's Drizzle there. This is the photograph. That's the photograph, yeah. That's Drizzle. And that's So there we go. Yeah. All done?
Amazing. So a massive thank. I will give that to them, and they can make thousands of pounds for the donkey sanctuary because
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. And I don't know if I'm about to then give away something else that is not been spoken about, but I've also been speaking to Donkey Sanctuary today. I think I'm going to license a donkey drawing for them to put on a greetings card to sell in their gift shop as well. So hopefully that'll be popular as well.
Thank you so much. We're going to end it there, and as always, massive thank you to you for your time and your enthusiasm, and hopefully we'll see you again next year. Don't know where we're going to be yet, but we'll hope to find somewhere that will accept us in and like the warm welcome we've had here, and another super animal that you can draw for us. Thank you everybody, and see you again at 3 o'clock.